The world held its breath. We watched as a novel virus, SARS-CoV-2, brought humanity to its knees. The COVID-19 pandemic was a stark and brutal lesson. It revealed our vulnerabilities, our interconnectedness, and the fragility of our global health systems. Now, as we emerge from this crisis, scarred but wiser, a new question arises. What if another threat, even more insidious and deadly, lurks just around the corner? What if we are on the precipice of facing Disease X? Disease X is not a name whispered in hushed tones in dimly lit laboratories. It is not a virus already making its way through the population, at least not yet. It is a placeholder, a stark reminder from the World Health Organization that the next pandemic could come from anywhere at any time. It could be a virus, a bacteria, or a pathogen we haven't even identified yet. It could emerge from the depths of a rainforest, a crowded city, or the melting permafrost. What we do know is this: Disease X has the potential to be highly transmissible, more so than even the most contagious variants of COVID-19. It could be more lethal, more resistant to our current treatments, and more capable of overwhelming our healthcare systems. It could spread silently, hiding in plain sight, until it explodes onto the world stage, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. To understand the potential impact of Disease X, we need to look no further than our recent past. The COVID-19 pandemic was a stark reminder of how quickly a new virus can spread around the globe, crippling economies, overwhelming healthcare systems, and claiming millions of lives. But COVID-19 was not the first, nor will it be the last pandemic to test our resilience. Throughout history, infectious diseases have shaped the course of human civilization. The Black Death, smallpox, the 1918 influenza pandemic, these are just a few examples of the devastating power of pathogens. Each outbreak has left an indelible mark on our collective memory, serving as a stark reminder of our vulnerability to microscopic enemies. These past pandemics offer valuable lessons. They teach us about the importance of early detection and rapid response. They highlight the need for robust public health infrastructure and international cooperation, and they underscore the critical role of scientific research and innovation in developing effective vaccines, treatments, and diagnostic tools. Disease X is not a specific pathogen. It represents the unknown. It is the embodiment of the next big threat, the next pandemic that could challenge our very existence. To prepare for Disease X, we must anticipate its potential characteristics and modes of transmission. While we cannot predict the exact nature of Disease X, experts believe it will likely be a zoonotic disease, meaning it originates in animals and jumps to humans. This is a common theme in emerging infectious diseases, as seen with COVID-19, SARS, and Ebola. Factors like deforestation, climate change, and the wildlife trade increase the likelihood of such spillover events. These activities bring humans into closer contact with animal populations, creating opportunities for viruses to jump species and potentially adapt to infect humans. The characteristics of Disease X are, by definition, unknown. However, experts predict it could be a respiratory virus like influenza or SARS-CoV-2, as these viruses tend to spread easily through the air. It could also be a vector-borne disease, transmitted through insects like mosquitoes or ticks, which thrive in warmer climates and can spread rapidly across geographical boundaries. The potential impact of Disease X cannot be overstated. A highly transmissible and deadly pathogen could spread around the globe in a matter of days, overwhelming healthcare systems and causing widespread panic and economic disruption. Imagine a world where hospitals are overflowing with patients, borders are closed, and cities are under quarantine. Imagine the fear and uncertainty as people struggle to protect themselves and their loved ones. Imagine the devastating social and economic consequences of a prolonged pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic provided a glimpse into this potential future. While the world has learned valuable lessons from this experience, we must not become complacent. The threat of Disease X is a stark reminder that we are only as strong as our weakest link. To prevent the next pandemic, we need a coordinated global effort, one that prioritizes scientific research, strengthens public health infrastructure, and promotes international cooperation. The microbial world is a vast and enigmatic realm, teeming with countless species of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microscopic life forms. Most of these microbes are harmless to humans, playing essential roles in ecosystems worldwide. Some are even beneficial, residing in our guts and aiding in digestion. However, a small fraction of these microbes harbor the potential to cause disease, and it is this tiny minority that keeps epidemiologists up at night. These potential pathogens are constantly evolving, adapting to new hosts and environments. They lurk in the shadows, waiting for the opportune moment to make the leap from animals to humans, often with devastating consequences. Their genetic makeup is a blueprint for infection, containing instructions for invading cells, hijacking cellular machinery, and evading the body's immune defenses. Scientists estimate that thousands, if not millions, of these potential pathogens exist in wildlife populations around the globe. Yet only a tiny fraction of these have been identified and studied. Like an unexplored jungle filled with unknown creatures, the microbial world holds both wonder and danger, and the next Disease X could be lurking just beyond our current understanding. The process by which a pathogen jumps from animals to humans is known as zoonosis. It's a phenomenon that has plagued humanity for centuries, driving outbreaks of diseases like rabies, plague, and Ebola. The COVID-19 pandemic, believed to have originated in bats, served as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of human and animal health. Zoonosis is not a single event, but rather a complex chain of interactions between humans, animals, and the environment. Factors like deforestation, agricultural intensification, and the wildlife trade increase the likelihood of these interactions, creating more opportunities for pathogens to spill over from animals to humans. Imagine a leaky faucet, dripping slowly and steadily. Each drip represents a potential spillover event, a moment when a pathogen jumps from an animal host to a human. Now imagine that the faucet's leak is getting worse, with drips becoming more frequent and the water pressure increasing. This is the situation we face today as human activities continue to erode natural barriers and increase our proximity to wildlife. Bats in particular have emerged as important reservoirs for zoonotic viruses. Their ability to fly long distances, their social behavior, and their unique immune systems make them ideal hosts for a diverse range of viruses. But bats are not the only culprits. Rodents, birds, and primates can also harbor and transmit zoonotic diseases. The trajectory of a zoonotic virus often follows a familiar path. A virus harmlessly circulating in its animal reservoir finds its way into a new host, perhaps a livestock animal or a human. If the virus is able to adapt and replicate efficiently in this new host, it can establish a foothold and begin to spread. Sometimes this spillover event goes unnoticed, resulting in isolated cases or small outbreaks that quickly fizzle out. But in other cases, the virus acquires mutations that enhance its transmissibility or virulence, allowing it to spread rapidly through human populations and potentially spark a global pandemic. Section 4. The perfect storm when pathogens collide. The emergence of Disease X might not be a single leap from animal to human, but rather a more complex process involving genetic reassortment or recombination. Imagine a scenario where two different viruses, each carrying a set of genetic instructions for evading the immune system or enhancing transmission, infect the same host simultaneously. Within this shared cellular environment, their genetic material can become mixed and matched like shuffling a deck of cards. This process, known as reassortment or recombination, can result in the creation of a novel virus with a unique combination of genetic traits, potentially leading to increased transmissibility, virulence, or resistance to existing drugs. This is not a far-fetched scenario. The influenza virus, for example, is notorious for its ability to undergo reassortment, which is why new flu vaccines are needed every year. And scientists believe that the HIV virus, responsible for the AIDS pandemic, originated from the recombination of two different simian immunodeficiency viruses. Section 5. Silent spread. The incubation enigma. One of the most concerning aspects of disease X is the potential for silent spread. Many infectious diseases have an incubation period, a period of time between exposure to the pathogen and the onset of symptoms. During this incubation period, an infected individual may unknowingly transmit the pathogen to others, fueling the silent spread of the disease. The length of the incubation period can vary greatly depending on the pathogen. For some diseases, like the common cold, the incubation period is short, typically a few days. For others, like HIV, the incubation period can be much longer, sometimes years. A long incubation period, coupled with mild or asymptomatic cases, can make it extremely difficult to contain the spread of a novel pathogen. Imagine a scenario where disease X spreads silently for weeks or even months before individuals start showing severe symptoms. By the time the alarm bells are sounded, the virus may have already spread far and wide, making contact tracing and isolation measures incredibly challenging. Section 1. The Global Highway Travel and Transmission. In today's interconnected world, borders are increasingly porous, and international travel has become commonplace. While this globalized network facilitates trade, tourism, and cultural exchange, it also provides a readily available pathway for infectious diseases to spread rapidly across continents. Imagine a virus like disease X hitching a ride on an international flight. An infected individual, perhaps asymptomatic or experiencing only mild symptoms, boards a plane in one part of the world and disembarks thousands of miles away, unknowingly carrying the virus to a new and susceptible population. Air travel, with its high volume of passengers and rapid transit times, can quickly turn a localized outbreak into a global health emergency. The SARS outbreak in 2003 demonstrated this vividly, as the virus spread from a single hotel in Hong Kong to dozens of countries in a matter of weeks, largely facilitated by air travel. Section 2. Urban jungles, breeding grounds for outbreaks. While international travel can quickly spread a pathogen across vast distances, densely populated urban centers often serve as the initial breeding grounds for outbreaks. Cities, with their high population densities, close living quarters, and efficient transportation networks, provide ideal conditions for infectious diseases to spread rapidly. Imagine a crowded marketplace in a bustling megacity, where people from all walks of life converge, interacting in close proximity. A single infected individual, perhaps selling produce or handling merchandise, could potentially expose dozens, if not hundreds, of others to the virus. Furthermore, many urban centers, particularly in developing countries, struggle with inadequate sanitation, limited access to healthcare, and overcrowded housing, factors that can exacerbate the spread of infectious diseases and hinder efforts to contain outbreaks. Section 3. Walls of resistance, public health response. The speed and effectiveness of the public health response are critical in containing the spread of a novel pathogen like disease X. Strong public health infrastructure, including robust surveillance systems, contact tracing capabilities, and access to testing and treatment, can make all the difference in preventing a localized outbreak from escalating into a full-blown pandemic. Imagine a well-coordinated public health response, like a network of sentinels guarding against an invading force. Surveillance systems detect unusual patterns of illness, triggering rapid response teams to investigate potential outbreaks. Contact tracing identifies individuals who may have been exposed, and isolation measures prevent further spread. However, public health systems around the world vary greatly in their capacity and resources. While some high-income countries have well-funded and sophisticated public health infrastructure, many low- and middle-income countries lack the resources, personnel, and infrastructure to mount a rapid and effective response to a major outbreak. Section 4. The fog of information, misinformation, and mistrust. In the age of social media and instant information, the spread of misinformation and disinformation can be as dangerous as the virus itself. False cures, conspiracy theories, and unfounded claims can sow confusion, erode trust in public health authorities, and undermine efforts to contain an outbreak. Imagine a social media feed flooded with misinformation about disease X, with claims that it's a hoax, that certain remedies can cure it, or that the government is withholding information. This misinformation can lead to people taking unnecessary risks, rejecting effective public health measures, and spreading the virus further. Building public trust and ensuring access to accurate and reliable information are crucial in combating both the disease and the spread of misinformation. Public health officials need to communicate clearly and transparently with the public, addressing concerns and countering misinformation with evidence-based guidance. Section 5. Unequal impacts. The vulnerability of the marginalized. Pandemics, like other disasters, do not affect everyone equally. Marginalized communities, often already facing health disparities and systemic inequities, are often disproportionately affected by outbreaks. Factors like poverty, lack of access to healthcare, and crowded living conditions can increase vulnerability to infection and reduce access to essential services. Imagine, if you will, a community with limited access to clean water, sanitation, and healthcare, where overcrowding is the norm. In such settings, a highly contagious disease like disease X could spread like wildfire, devastating families and overwhelming already strained healthcare systems. Addressing these inequities and ensuring that everyone has equal access to healthcare, information, and resources is essential in mitigating the impact of pandemics and building more resilient communities. Public health interventions need to be tailored to the specific needs of vulnerable populations, addressing language barriers, cultural sensitivities, and existing health disparities. Section 6. A race against time, containment versus mitigation. In the early stages of an outbreak, the primary goal is containment, preventing the spread of the pathogen and extinguishing the outbreak at its source. This involves a combination of measures, including contact tracing, isolation, quarantine, and travel restrictions. However, if containment efforts are unsuccessful and the outbreak escalates into a pandemic, the focus shifts to mitigation, slowing the spread of the virus, reducing the burden on healthcare systems, and minimizing the overall impact on society. Mitigation strategies include measures like social distancing, mask wearing, school and business closures, and widespread testing and treatment. The decision to transition from containment to mitigation is a difficult one, often laden with social, economic, and political considerations. It requires a delicate balancing act, weighing the benefits of each approach against the potential costs and disruptions. Section 1. The Arsenal of Science, Combating the Invisible Enemy. Humanity has long grappled with the threat of infectious diseases. From the bubonic plague to smallpox, history is littered with tales of devastating pandemics. Yet, through these trials by fire, science has emerged as our most potent weapon, forging an arsenal of tools and techniques to combat the invisible enemy. The fight against disease X or any future pandemic threat hinges on our ability to rapidly identify, understand, and neutralize the enemy. This involves a multi-pronged approach, encompassing everything from cutting-edge laboratory research to boots-on-the-ground public health interventions. Fortunately, the scientific community has made significant strides in recent decades, equipping us with a formidable arsenal to face these challenges. One of the most significant advancements has been in the field of genomics. With the ability to rapidly sequence the genetic material of pathogens, scientists can now identify and characterize new threats with unprecedented speed and accuracy. This information is crucial for developing diagnostic tests, understanding how the pathogen spreads and evolves, and designing effective vaccines and treatments. Section 2, the Vaccine Vanguard Engineering Immunity. Vaccines stand as one of humanity's greatest public health triumphs, credited with saving millions of lives and eradicating deadly diseases like smallpox. They work by mimicking natural infection, triggering the body's immune system to produce antibodies without causing the disease itself. This immunological memory prepares the body to fight off the actual pathogen if it encounters it in the future, providing crucial protection against infection and severe illness. The development of vaccines against disease X would be a top priority in the face of a pandemic threat. While traditional vaccine development methods often take years, advancements in vaccine technology have paved the way for faster and more adaptable approaches. For example, mRNA vaccines, like those developed for COVID-19, can be designed and produced much faster than traditional vaccines, offering a crucial tool in the fight against rapidly emerging infectious diseases. Furthermore, researchers are exploring novel vaccine platforms that could potentially target a broader range of pathogens, including those with high mutation rates. These next-generation vaccines could offer long-lasting immunity and even provide protection against multiple strains of a virus, making them a crucial weapon in our pandemic preparedness arsenal. Section 3. Beyond vaccines, therapeutics, and antiviral advancements. While vaccines are essential for preventing infection and slowing the spread of disease, effective treatments are crucial for managing the symptoms of infected individuals and reducing the severity of illness. In the fight against disease X, a multi-pronged approach, combining both prophylactic, preventive, and therapeutic measures, will be paramount. Antiviral drugs, for example, work by interfering with the replication cycle of viruses, preventing them from multiplying and spreading within the body. These drugs can be effective in reducing the duration and severity of viral infections, particularly when administered early in the course of the disease. However, developing effective antiviral drugs can be challenging, as viruses often mutate rapidly, potentially developing resistance to existing treatments. In addition to antivirals, other therapeutic approaches are being explored, such as monoclonal antibody therapies and immunomodulatory drugs. Monoclonal antibodies are laboratory-made proteins that can bind to specific targets on the virus, neutralizing it and preventing it from infecting cells. Immunomodulatory drugs, on the other hand, work by modulating the body's immune response, either boosting it to fight off the infection or dampening it to prevent harmful inflammation. Section 4. The Human Firewall. Public health as the first line of defense. While scientific advancements in vaccines and treatments are crucial, public health measures remain the first line of defense against infectious disease outbreaks. These measures aim to prevent the spread of disease at its source, interrupting the chain of transmission and protecting populations from infection. One of the most effective public health interventions is contact tracing. This involves identifying individuals who have been in close contact with an infected person and monitoring them for symptoms or testing them for the infection. By identifying and isolating infected individuals early on, contact tracing can help to prevent further spread of the disease. Other public health measures, such as isolation of infected individuals, quarantine of exposed individuals, travel restrictions, and social distancing measures can also help to slow the spread of infectious diseases. These measures, while often disruptive, are crucial for reducing the burden on healthcare systems and preventing widespread community transmission. Section 5. The Resilience Factor Communities United Against Disease. The fight against Disease X or any future pandemic is not just a scientific endeavor, it requires a collective effort, uniting individuals, communities, and nations in a shared commitment to public health. Building resilient communities, prepared to respond effectively to health emergencies, is crucial for mitigating the impact of outbreaks and minimizing their social and economic consequences. Community engagement and education are paramount in building this resilience. Educating the public about infectious diseases, their modes of transmission, and prevention measures is crucial for promoting healthy behaviors and fostering trust in public health recommendations. Furthermore, strengthening healthcare systems, particularly in low and middle-income countries, is essential for ensuring equitable access to healthcare and improving surge capacity during outbreaks. This includes investing in healthcare infrastructure, training healthcare workers, and ensuring access to essential medical supplies. Disease X is not a question of if, but when. It is a stark reminder that the microbial world is constantly evolving, always probing for vulnerabilities in our defenses. The next pandemic could emerge from the depths of a rainforest, a bustling city, or even a laboratory, catching us off guard and testing the very fabric of our global community. We have been warned. The COVID-19 pandemic, with its devastating health and economic impacts, exposed the fragility of our global health systems and the interconnectedness of our world. It underscored the importance of early detection, rapid response, and international cooperation in mitigating the spread of infectious diseases. Yet, despite these hard-won lessons, the threat of Disease X looms large. The same factors that fueled the emergence of COVID-19 deforestation, climate change, and the wildlife trade continue unabated, increasing the likelihood of zoonotic spillover events and setting the stage for future pandemics. We are in a race against time, a race to understand and prepare for the next global health menace before it emerges. The specter of Disease X is a call to action, a clarion call to fortify our global defenses and strengthen our collective ability to prevent, detect, and respond to emerging infectious diseases. We must learn from the mistakes of the past and embrace a proactive rather than reactive approach to pandemic preparedness. This requires a multifaceted strategy, one that addresses the root causes of pandemics, bolsters global health infrastructure, and leverages scientific advancements to stay one step ahead of the microbial curve. One of the most crucial steps is to invest in robust public health systems worldwide. This includes strengthening surveillance systems to detect and track outbreaks early on, enhancing laboratory capacity for rapid and accurate diagnosis, and training healthcare workers to effectively manage infectious diseases. Equally important is addressing the social and economic factors that contribute to disease emergence and spread. This means tackling poverty, reducing inequality, and improving access to healthcare, sanitation, and education in marginalized communities. By creating healthier and more equitable societies, we can reduce the pool of susceptible individuals and limit the impact of future outbreaks. The fight against Disease X is ultimately a fight for our future. It demands a sustained commitment to scientific research, innovation, and global collaboration. We must invest in research to better understand the complex interplay between humans, animals, and the environment that drives disease emergence. This includes supporting research on zoonotic diseases, developing new diagnostic tools and vaccines, and exploring innovative approaches to pandemic preparedness and response. We must also strengthen global surveillance systems to monitor for emerging threats, track the spread of infectious diseases, and share information rapidly and transparently. The COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the power of international collaboration in accelerating vaccine development and sharing scientific knowledge. We must build on this momentum, fostering partnerships between governments, research institutions, and private industry to develop and deploy new technologies and strategies for combating infectious diseases. Disease X is a global threat that demands a global response. No single country can tackle this challenge alone. We must forge a new era of international cooperation, one grounded in shared responsibility, transparency, and a commitment to global health equity. This means strengthening international health regulations, supporting the World Health Organization, and working together to ensure that all countries have the resources and capacity to prepare for and respond to health emergencies. It also means addressing the ethical and political challenges posed by pandemics, such as ensuring equitable access to vaccines and treatments, combating misinformation, and protecting the rights of vulnerable populations. The threat of Disease X is a stark reminder that our health and well-being are inextricably linked. In an interconnected world, an outbreak anywhere is a threat everywhere. By embracing a One Health approach, recognizing the interconnectedness of human, animal, and environmental health, and strengthening global health security, we can create a safer and healthier